You really need to talk to the folks here at Next Level. I've got to tell you, just speaking to the people here, they are fired up, they get it, they've got the right balance, and they're all increasing their income, they're increasing their production.
But you're dealing with people that are in the trenches dealing with this, are practitioners, had failures, had successes, learned from it, and it's about helping you not just like get through the next month, but it's about creating legacy business for yourself.
But I can tell you that you are mission focused. I know you're purpose focused, and I can tell you that every loan officer that I've communicated with that's been part of your platform has been a raving fan.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And now, Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Hello, everybody. Sean Zalmanoff here with our Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. Hey, friends, if our podcast is moving the needle for you in the industry, like there are crazy times right now, but if you are taking the time to invest in yourself, do us all a favor. Spend 30 seconds, go to Spotify, go to wherever you're listening this, give us a 5-star review, write something nice about us, and we're going to give something away free. Tickets to events when we can do those live in person again, and have you come see us very soon. But today we are joined by Scott Schang. Scott, how are you, brother?
Hey, Sean, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Appreciate you joining us. So Scott is a 20-year industry veteran, a partner in BuyWise, which is a mortgage brokerage firm, and also a partner in Find My Way Home, which is a direct-to-consumer website. And Scott, you've had averaged over 10,000 visitors per month for over 10 years to this website. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I'm a huge advocate of consumer direct. When the market crashed, I started it fourth quarter of 2007 was the first time I learned WordPress. And just like the rest of us, we were facing constant we were the center of all evil in 2008. Every single night on the news, they would talk about how bad mortgage people are and how they were taking advantage of people. And I've never really considered myself a salesperson. I'm an educator. And I believe in educating, helping to empower consumers to make more informed decisions. So I started thinking, well, people don't want to talk to a loan officer, but maybe they wouldn't mind reading about solutions to their problems. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just started writing, and it has now averaged that, but there were a lot of ups and downs, and it took a really long time to get to that point. But today we have. It's interesting, Sean, when you're doing consumer direct, you're not generating leads, you're generating referrals, right? Hey, I don't know if you've had that experience, but when when you share your experience and your expertise online and somebody reads that, when they approach you, it's like they already know you. They already read the solution, they already saw you, they already trust you, and they're just reaching out. And that's really the phenomenal power of consumer direct, but it's very much a long game.
Yeah, you're building referrals. You're building the relationship on what you're doing there. Before we got on the call and on this video here, you said something, and it just rings true every day. Everyone wants the results. No one wants to commit to doing them. And
yeah.
You have somebody here, Scott. You've been doing this for 13 years, having a lot of success with it for the past 10. And the amount of bandwidth and market space that is still there for somebody to go and create the kind of content that you are. I mean, 100 loan officers can start this today, and the need for information out there, especially in the information age, that there is still plenty of bandwidth to do this. But everybody wants 10 or 12,000 unique visitors to their website a month. No one wants to put in the work for 3 years.
Well, it's so funny because the interesting thing about the internet is you can use a sniper rifle or you can use a shotgun. I didn't know what I was doing. I ended up just spraying buckshot all over the country. I talked about a lot of common issues that most borrowers have. But talk about hyperlocal dominance. Nobody in your community is putting out consistent content about the community and quite frankly about what your expertise is about buying a home, living in the community, moving to the community, moving someplace else in the community. Content marketing is an absolute gold mine, and you just nailed it. Nobody wants to pick up the shovel, but they're down there. The nuggets are there, and once you strike it, that's the interesting thing. Is the evolution of consumer direct is exponential. Once you make that investment, you can't really shut it off because it's out there forever. When you stop, it stops growing, but it never stops working.
You know, it's you've been in the industry 20 years, and I'm 19 years in right now, and I still have the Sean Z team. My guy who runs it was just messaging me this morning, and he's like, we have 71 active loans right now, and I was like, gosh, I remember when my branch didn't have 71 loans.
Yeah, me too.
That you have 71 loans right now, but it's just like when, again, 5 years since my name's been on an application, get the pleasure of, running Next Level and doing, helping other loan officers grow their career right now. But like, it doesn't turn off. Like this, every year that the phone rings, there's people, there's realtors, they just call us because we've done a great job in the past. And This is, doing this on a website like this, it's just completely next level. We talk about, you were talking before, Kellen and Kenneth and Shane and I preach all the time about being hyper local, about being focused. There's an entire new product that we've created that you've probably heard a little bit of snippets by now, called the Certified Mortgage Advisor, that Next Level and MBS Highways, Next Level and Barry Habib have partnered with to make loan officers relevant. And the things that we're going to talk about today, and Scott, the things that you've been doing are what make us relevant 10 years from now. People ask really regularly, they're like, I know what you guys charge for coaching, and I know what I make on a loan. I'm like, it doesn't seem like the two add up. And you're right. Like, it's much more profitable to be in the mortgage business than it is to be in the coaching world. But the mortgage business, for myself, for Kenneth, for Kellen and Shane, has been amazing to us. The reason, even talking about Barry, he was an amazing originator back in the day. And like now, the more people that we can help, because we believe in being hyper local, we believe in being an advisor. I don't want some company who owns 10% of the market and is shooting for 25 to get there, because they're trying to take our jobs, and they're just giving people shitty advice. They're not putting people in the right loans. And by being hyper local, you can crush this. So Scott,
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. Like, you had this idea, you started a website, now you're getting 10,000 people to see you a month. Like, how did the evolution go? What's the content that you're putting out?
Yeah.
And how can a loan you speak the same language that we do. You're on here to tell other loan officers about how they can do exactly what you're already doing. So
first I want to commend you for giving back to the industry. When you and I started, we didn't have people like you in the industry that could coach. You had some high level people that were teaching some sales and things like that. But what you guys are doing is amazing. So first of all, I want to commend you for that, because you're creating content that is helping the community. And really what you're doing is you're taking your experience and your successes and you're sharing it with the mortgage community. That's exactly what you do for consumers. See, we all have these conversations with consumers every single day. One of my favorite things to tell people is they're like, well, I don't even know how to get started doing consumer direct. Well, what do you do for a living? You solve problems. You don't solve a different problem every single time. You sell a nuance of the same exact set of problems that every single consumer is going to encounter. If you've been doing this long enough, you can see around corners and you kind of know based on your conversation, okay, this is where they're going. The single best place to start creating consumer direct content is the sent folder in your mail, in your inbox, in your email, because all of those questions that consumers have asked you, you've written a detailed, because you're trying to earn the business or you're trying to keep the business. So you put in a thoughtful, you probably looked up the guidelines to make sure you were telling them the right thing. That question is your title, your answer is your expertise. And all you need to do is stop being selfish with all of your experience and your expertise and getting it out there. But the really great part about getting good at this is then you can then leverage those skills to help your referral partners. So say you get good at jumping on a YouTube channel and saying, you know what, I had a question from a consumer today, and quite frankly, I get this question a lot, so I thought it was important to share with everybody here today. And you just explain it. Now you started a YouTube channel, and now you're out there, have that transcribed, send it to a rev.com or something like that for 99 cents a minute, convert it into text.
I think they're up to
Google,
$1.25 right now, Scott.
They are $1.25, but you get a 15-cent discount if you connect it directly to YouTube. So, but you're right. So okay, so my 5-minute video is like 700 words. Google loves it. It cost me $6 to transcribe. All I did was flipped on the camera and shared the exact same conversation I've had with 100 other consumers. And if one consumer asks the question, that there are exponentially more people out there that have the question that don't know who to ask or how to ask. And and another big part of consumer direct is, and you'll probably agree with me on this, the biggest challenge is consumers don't know what question to ask. So they're asking inaccurate questions to inexperienced call center loan officers. Inexperienced call center loan officers are trying to get that check mark to meet their application goals, and so they're telling them whatever they want to hear. We have an opportunity to come in there and really help people, because consumers can tell the difference. They know if they're being told what they want to be told. So I guess kind of circle back to what I was saying about really drilling down hyperlocal. Yes, we do talk about mortgages, but when you go hyperlocal, you talk about your community. You talk about the neighborhood. You talk about who's running for city council. You interview the mayor or the governor on a Zoom call like this. There's not a person listening out here right now that hasn't been on a Zoom call 100 times in the last 6 months, right? I mean, you would think so. I start playing that hyperlocal game and publish it online. That is one of the best ways to double up on your efforts, because you're already building the relationships, but now you're putting out the fact that you're building those relationships out there for everybody to see for all times.
Well, it's funny because as loan officers, so many of us get frustrated when it's like the consumer calls in and it's like, well, what's your rate?
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. That's what, the media's taught them. That's what their grandfather or their sister or their brother said. Hey, that's how you shop. That's how you compare people on. But, they don't know the questions to ask, like you said, and they're afraid to ask them. I always relate it. I tell people, it's like, man, I remember when I bought my wife's engagement ring. And I learned about the 5 C's. I think I remember 2 of them now, and every other grade and everything about a diamond. And I was really I was an expert on diamonds for about, 30, 45 days. And then I, complete novice again now, because I've had to learn it so much in order to make sure that I, got what she wanted and got what I wanted for her. And, people want to know that you're a real person. And so a lot of times they have these questions and they're like, man, I'm a highly educated individual. I'm super smart and know exactly what's going on, but I'm afraid to ask this question because I don't look like an idiot. Yep. But when they hear you answering those questions in advance, it's something that we talk about all the time, delivering results in advance. A consumer direct website delivers results in advance to answer questions. So that way all of a sudden they're calling you because you've built the relationship, you've built the trust for them. It's just a complete game changer in what their perception is and how things work in their mind when, like you said, Scott, I mean, sent full of your inbox, everybody's got the same damn questions.
Yes.
And the cool thing is that, I mean, I know my wife tells me something 100 times and then my buddy tells it to me once. I'm like, best idea ever. And then Christy's like, dude, what do you mean? I've tried to tell you that so many times. So you can regurgitate a lot of the same stuff from just a different angle on how you answered it for consumer A to consumer B. And they're going to be like, oh man, I wish Scott said that before. And it's like, well, he said that 10 other times, but they understood it and resonated for them. And also, we can reuse a lot of the same content. People aren't going back to 2013 to look at what Scott wrote then for the most part. And in the other thing, like you're talking about putting this on YouTube, putting it on Facebook, putting it on your blog. Like I used to try to be so creative and I needed something different for LinkedIn, something different for YouTube. Like, man, every time that we create content now, whether it's personally my mortgage business or for Next Level, I mean, my first thought is, how can I make this so I can use it 4 times?
Yep.
And then I want to put it out everywhere because if it was good enough to use in one spot, well, then it's good enough to use elsewhere. And I'm going to hit a different market for doing it as well too.
And that's the beauty of video, because video, you've got your visual, you're transcribing it into copy, you strip the audio out of it, and you've got the same message in every single consumable medium that consumers have access to. And it's just, you do it once and you use it 4 times. That's the power of leverage, man, right? That's about as good as it gets.
So you were talking earlier, Scott, we're both a little bit techie. You're definitely further advanced than me, but we're mortgage geeks, and we enjoy what we do. So you're talking about the tools and the experience. So because you're so heavily consumer direct, your people are already predispositioned to have a better experience with you because you've built that trust most of the time before they picked up the phone. What else are you doing inside of your mortgage business? And I know you're not currently originating, but that your team is and your partner, that they're doing to provide a better experience for consumers right now.
Well, one of the things that we've started doing, in order to provide a better experience for consumers, actually one of the first things that we did, we use a company called Lead Pops on our website for lead funnels. If you haven't encountered Andrew, he's a super smart guy.
Andrew's awesome, and if you tell him about Next Level, they'll give you a discount for him too. It's if you don't have your own website, it's like don't recreate it, just buy his.
Nope. Yep. No, but he's a super smart guy. So we use the Lead Pops funnels. One of the things that I recently did is I started taking advantage of, because we do this so often in technology, right? We get the technology, we get it out of the box, we go as far as our learning curve will let us until we want to rip our hair out, and then you kind of stop there, right? And it's like, and with Lead Pops, it's good enough so that it just works. But I actually went back a couple months ago and expanded on the product that he offers. He has a super footer that you add so that you can create a better consumer experience when they click on the lead form. It gives them a little bit more flavor, tells them a little bit more pre-framing what they can expect, and it quadrupled my conversion rates. So we went from like 7 to 12% to now we're like 28 to 40% on these funnels.
Oh man, that doesn't do anything for your bottom line, does it?
Not at all. No, converting less waste is never good, right? It's funny. It's funny. We always think, human beings always think that in order to solve problems, you need to do more things. When the reality is, if you just shored up and made your existing systems more efficient, so that you had less waste and less loss, your business would exponentially grow, because not only are you getting more out of the getting a higher return on the investment you already made. You're creating an exponential growth by fixing the leaks in the boat. So you're going to be able to go further safer moving forward. And that's kind of what I did. The other thing that we did is we connected them up with Verse. So it used to be Agentology. It's a 24/7 mortgage-related answering service, and not a single call gets missed. Now I'm looking at my my numbers right here. 39% of our leads come in after hours and weekends. So think about that. Just by getting a live person answering the phone, asking intelligent questions about qualifying and screening the person. Did you actually fill out a form? Are you actually looking to buy a home or refinance? Great. When are you available to talk to Sean? Right? And just by doing that, our contact, our appointment rate is about 25%. So for every 4 to 5 leads, we're getting somebody on the phone.
Only like 5 or 6 times industry average.
Yeah, probably. And
it is.
And when you're talking about purchase money, most consumers that are looking to buy are early entry buyers. So so then you need these nurture systems and Versa follow-up, but then I take those and I dump them in a HomeBot. So now I've got a monthly digest going out, whether they're a buyer or a seller, and I know that there is a touch that's customized specifically to that consumer. It's not canned. Well, it's a canned, but none of the information is canned. It's all specific to that consumer. So we have this scenario where you have a traffic source, then you have a machine, and that's really the challenge that a lot of people have. Is we go to these conferences and people are selling tools, but they're just a piece of a system, and they tend to overpromise. And I think what I've gotten really good at is been able to identify best in class, at least as far as I've been able to find, and creating this automation. So literally, we do not talk to a consumer unless they've already been contacted. Yeah, no, it's and then what we did is we packaged that up, and we do that for our referral partners. So we'll do Facebook ads. So we'll run Facebook ads for them. Their spend on the Facebook ad. We pay for Verse, and we both follow up on the lead. And agents have never seen anything like it. It's a fraction of the cost of Zillow. And the fact that somebody's following up and setting in a calendar appointment for somebody that they want to talk to, that's just not an experience that they're used to seeing. It's a huge, it's been a huge tool for building our realtor referral database.
Because people are just used to the Facebook leads that are just trash, and this filters through the trash.
Well, I actually force them through a lead pop funnel. It's 15 data points. I want them jumping through hurdles. Even when I was doing lead ads, we would add qualifying questions. Do you have a pre-approval letter? Are you working with an agent? What's your time frame to move? It's easy to get traffic and it's easy to get engagement, but to get quality traffic and motivated engagement is a completely different thing. So a lot of people like to, I kind of go back to the vendors out there, because they like to give these big numbers, but they don't put it into context. The numbers are there, but you've got to build out the systems around it. And again, this is that long game thing, and this is why you guys are so valuable, because you're literally able to help walk people through these learning curves, and they're not alone, right? So just me floating out in the ocean, running into a HomeBot, I know a ton of people that have said, oh, that's amazing, and they got it and never did anything with it. Whereas we co-sponsor like 43 agents, and there's not a day that goes by that we don't get a refinance request from the client of an agent that I've never talked to. So really using these tools and using them to their full capability and using them together the way that they're intended to be used, without people like you out there helping people understand that this is possible, you blog twice and you say nobody came to me. I didn't close my first loan from my website, and I wrote 3 to 4 articles a day every day for the first probably 5 or 6 years. I didn't close my first deal until almost 2 years after I started writing, and now it generates probably 300 or 400 qualified leads a month.
You're doing okay, huh, Scott?
We figured some things out. I mean, there's always more to figure out, but we didn't invent anything. We didn't do anything new. We just took the time to put the systems in place and put the automation in place so that we can do the things that we love, which is sharing our experience. So you share your experience, you dump it into the machine, it gets transcribed, gets distributed, gets amplified, and you just sit back and you're working with a higher quality consumer.
So let's talk about a few of the things that Scott mentioned here today. So Verse is, they're probably the leader in the mortgage space at answering the phone for us. First of all, I need to have a disclaimer on here. Do not go out right now and buy Verse and buy HomeBot. If you just do that, it's not going to make you any money. But as you look at these things, and if you build a plan to automate some of this, versus when we do this, I don't know if this company will be with long term, but it is the first place I'll go because I have talked to those guys a few times, and they really seem to know what they do. We personally use HomeBot. I've throttled it way back right now because honestly, just like everybody else, we have capacity issues right now.
Yeah. No, everybody does.
We've got about 4,000 more people to add to HomeBot that just can't even add to it because you're just not the manpower to do the loans, and eventually there will be. But right now, hey, like we're doing okay there. But HomeBot
you're preserving and you're preserving the consumer experience, and that's a really important message. You don't want to make a money grab on every single rate shopper you can get and lose that customer experience that is going to get you more repeat and referral business, because quite frankly, that's the name of the game. You're never doing a loan, you're building a relationship that's going to result in life of that customer. What is that lifetime value of every single customer?
Scott, the other thing you mentioned, you're talking about, plugging the holes on the boat. I'm a fisherman, so I always use the net analogy. I'm always trying to make my net tighter so less jump out. And, that's the number one thing too that we focus on. And that whether, you're coaching with us, coaching with someone else, or trying to do it yourself, frankly, you need to be coaching with someone because if it's not me and it's not somebody else inside the next level, there's other great coaches out there. Find your fit and do that. But like the number one thing that takes a loan officer from 5 or 6 loans to 10 loans, it's not a traffic problem. It's a net problem. You got these gaping holes. You got these fish jumping in and swimming out. If we can tighten that net for you, that's how you go to 10 loans. That's how you hire your second and your third loan partner on your team, get your own dedicated processor, and then you do 20 because then you just do more of those activities. And then at that point, you look at the things that Scott's doing. And then you're like, now I got some time on my hands. Now we're doing so many loans. We have hundreds of emails. I have hundreds of blog posts. And you can go start doing this information and put it to use for you right away. But make sure that you have your plan in place of what you want. There's plenty of ways to go direct to consumer. There's plenty of ways that we partner with realtors. Make sure you find your niche and what works with you. So you don't all of a sudden have lead pops, have HomeBot, and be like, man, none of this shit works. Well, you didn't do anything with it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I can't stress that the importance of what you just said. If you just go out and you buy these things, they end up just collecting dust, and they end up hitting your card every single month. And it's funny when I do lunch and learns, because it's how a lot of times how we do this. We do lunch and learns for agents, and we talk about tech with agents, right? And the first thing I do is as I say, raise your hand if you've got charges hitting your card every month and you've never used the product. So right from the very beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about some tools to invest in, but you just paid for it 5 times over with the stuff you're not using.
75% of them raise their hands and 20% are liars.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. No, it's just it's so important that stuff is out there. You build your systems around people like you, not around the vendors. The vendors are great, but they're also there to try to get you to insert your credit card and use their product. Just make sure that you understand how that product fits into your existing system. There's no easy button out there. It's actually quite the opposite. With good planning and long-term commitment, you can receive you can realize exponential and consistent results.
Hey, so Scott, I appreciate it today. Friends listening to us, I appreciate all the DMs on Instagram and Facebook that you send. If you got questions, please reach out to me. Hey, Scott, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Well, that's a great question. I am not on social a lot, but my name, Scott Schang. You'll find all my Facebook and all of my stuff and find my way home and all of that stuff. So I'm not on Twitter. I'll be on Facebook every once in a while, but I'm busy.
Awesome. Well, hey, friends, make sure you're checking out nextlevello.com. Although the likelihood of seeing us at a live event this year is growing slimmer, we are hitting the recording studio next week to bring you our live events in a digital format. So those are going to be at your fingertips soon. You can always text the words Next Level to 36260 to download our app and get more information, access to more podcasts there. We appreciate you all listening to us and watching us. Scott, appreciate you. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Sean. Keep fighting the good fight.
Thanks.